Hey everyone, it's Marabelle Blue with a new Marabelle Blue Unfiltered. Today we will be talking about Real Housewives of New Jersey and, of course, Married at First Sight, with the focal point being on Elijahwan and Katina. No surprise that Elijahwan's true colors are finally coming out if they haven't already. So, before we get started, I just want to say thank you for supporting all of my content and videos. If you are new to this channel, please be sure to subscribe and don't forget to hit that bell notification. And if you're not new, welcome back. As you know, this is all about being sarcastic with all of these reality TV shows. So if you enjoy sarcasm and humor and a little bit of shit show, then you're in the right place. So, with all of that being said, let's get started. So I have to say, I was having a bit of technical difficulties. I'm not sure what's going on with my StreamYard, but I was recording before and I had not realized that my microphone was not plugged in because I'm trying to use a hardwire connection when I'm doing this due to the disaster towards the end of the last video that I had posted. It became super pixelated, and I had not realized that in the middle of recording because sometimes I just don't see it, and, I don't like that. I want my content to be crisp and clear for everybody to enjoy. So with all that being said, it was basically a matter of using the hardwire. So I did that, and all of a sudden, all of these technical difficulties accompanied with all of that, and literally, I was sitting here for an hour trying to figure everything out to a point of frustration. Not even my printer is getting recognized by the laptop. So I have no idea what's going on. Let's start off with the Real Housewives of New Jersey. A lot happened on this episode, and due to not having my cards, I had to send all my notes to my phone, which I will be referring to every now and then. Real Housewives of New Jersey. What can I say? Well, first and foremost, everyone must know, if you don't know already, that Margaret is one of my favorite people on the show. She was my favorite the minute that she came in. And I talk about that on my website, Marabelle Blue Unfiltered. I will include all of those links down below so that you can go ahead and feel free to click on it. And one more thing I must mention, I do have a forums set up on my site. And this is a great way for everybody to interact about their favorite shows, even shows that I don't openly discuss because of whatever reason. Maybe I just don't have time to watch it, like for example Candy and the Gang. I forgot to record it, so perhaps I can catch the first episode sometime this week. But again, it's a great way to discuss everything that's going on. Of course, there are certain things that cannot be shared, but again, it is a way to share your thoughts on these reality TV shows. Let's talk about Teresa and Louis. Last week or the week before last, apparently something had happened where Teresa had gotten a phone call, and apparently it was from Louis. And I think the big thing was this whole video thing that every time I think about this video, I start laughing. I have not seen the video. However, the description of the video makes me laugh because it's like, what on earth was going on in this video from just the descriptions alone that everybody has mentioned? And even just looking at social media, just the people that think that Louis is not really good for Teresa, that he's kind of like off, or he has like a creep factor to him, whatever the case may be. And I talked about this in my blog. There's just a lot of things going on in this relationship that just make me question, is this a relationship where he should be moving in, having his kids move in? Like, what kind of craziness is that? And of course, I could relate because I had a similar craziness myself with disasters and having people in your life that I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm just going to chalk it up to I wasn't thinking at that moment in my life. I just moved out here. Maybe I was lonely, for whatever the case may be. I soon woke up and smelled the coffee the minute that he was here. This isn't about me. This is about Teresa and Louis. And she is trying to, I don't know what she's trying to do. Like, why is it that the video can't be discussed? When they were at Jennifer's house, because there was this whole gathering. I guess they went to the shore and they were at Jennifer's house. Louis wanted to talk about the video, and Teresa was like, "No, no, no, you don't have to explain. You don't have to this, you don't have to that." And it just even is going to beg the question more, like, why don't you let him speak? Why is it that it has to be covered up or he doesn't need to explain himself? Like, what's the deal here? And then when Margaret just posed a question like, what was the story with the video? Everybody just wants to know because they're making all of these comments about it. And he comes on, he tells Margaret, you couldn't intimidate me on on your worst day. Like, what kind of a response is that? Because I don't know if she said something about, I'm not trying to intimidate you. We're just trying to inquire. Like, why would he even respond like that? That was just a jackass response to come out. Goes on to say in the video that it was like a coming together of men who basically were trying to let go of whatever was festering inside of them. And he claimed that he was there to let go of this relationship and just basically wash his hands from it. Now, in the confessionals with Jackie and Margaret, they both said, what video is he talking about? Because they both agreed on separate occasions or whenever they filmed their confessionals that the video was him basically begging this girl to marry him, not to let her go. So here it is, conflicting results. And I just find the whole thing suspicious. The way he talked to Teresa, like, let me speak, or if you're going to keep arguing about this, yes, couples argue, and I get it. But I don't know, something doesn't sit right with this whole relationship. And if Teresa is hungry to be in a relationship, to be in love, people, for some reason, they are not comfortable being in their own skin or being alone. When I broke up with my ex back in 2008, it was a totally different guy, no pictures on social media, very private relationship. When I broke it off with him, I was very, very devastated. I was very hurt. I was very sad. I mean, everything that you can think of. I truly had a broken heart, but I had to end things for the betterment of my own life. I chose not to be in a relationship. There was no reason for me to be in one. There was no reason for me to pursue one or find love again. I really needed to take a break and be with myself. I didn't know that break would last for many, many years. I mean, we're talking about 2012, I still wasn't in a relationship. And then when I find one in 2017, it was like the disaster of all disasters. What was I thinking? But again, I can chalk it up to I moved out here to Arizona. None of my friends were out here. I was by myself. I made a connection and it should have just stayed online. It should have just like not be in real life. But it's neither here nor there. It's over, and thank goodness. With all this in mind, it's very scary to think that people can just jump from one relationship to another and not realize they keep jumping to the same kind of a person. When I used to make a lot of Narcotics Anonymous meetings back in New York, one of my sponsors had said, and this was coming from her sponsor, that she can walk into a room full of men wearing the same blue suit and she will still walk out with the same man that she's been with time and time and time again. So it's kind of like that same idea that you can still pick the same insane person because of where you're at in your life. Now, of course, people can disagree with that. It's fine. That's just my own personal feeling about it in that regard of You can pick the same kind of person because of where you're at in your life, or you will pick the wrong person because of something that you're craving and you want it so bad that you just find anybody who will just fall along with the same idea. But meanwhile, you have absolutely nothing in common. Hence, it becomes a disaster. And that was my situation. And with Teresa, I know there are big hardcore fans of Teresa. She's a straight shooter, but at the same time, it's like, does she hear what comes out of her mouth? It's kind of like crazy. Like, why would you agree with something that Jennifer's doing, but if Margaret does the complete opposite, Margaret is wrong? She's always going to find fault with people that she doesn't like. And in this particular setting, it started to come out again about Jennifer and Bill cheating on her, Bill standing on the sidelines, he's laughing. You know what? Bill can care less. It's something that happened in his past. And it's done. Like, you can't take it back. Jennifer, however, seems to dredge up over and over and over again what happened, how hurt she was. Okay, we get it. We get it. Cheating is not a good thing. We get it. But to continue playing a victim over and over and over again behind that, it's just not cool. Like, at some point, you're going to have to take control of your life, and you have to say to yourself, it happened. Who cares? Look at the big deal that they made about Rihanna being late. And what did she say? Like, who cares? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm late. So what? What are you going to do about it? That's what it all has to come down to. Teresa, on the other hand, it's not about, well, I want you to stand behind my relationship. This is my man and I love him and all that. Things are happening a little bit too fast here. Then the argument starts to escalate even more when it comes up, the tweet or whatever Instagram post that Jennifer made calling Melissa and Joe crooked because they don't pay their vendors or whoever it is that they do business with. And she goes and she calls Joe a little bitch. Of course, Melissa's going to get mad. That's her husband. You're not going to talk about my husband like that. They're not calling Bill names because, you know what? In all honesty, Bill can care less. These men have an entirely different relationship with each other as the women do. The men, they're just like hanging out. They don't care. I don't want to say they're men, but it's kind of like, we're going to live our life, we're going to make mistakes and what have you. Whereas everybody on the women's side, Margaret telling Jennifer things that Jennifer doesn't like to hear, or that, why is it that you throw shit in my face? I wrote a book about things that happen in my life, experiences that I have, and Jennifer's like throwing jabs at her. Now I understand why Jennifer's throwing jabs at her, because of the experience that she had. But at the same time, when you find out this rumor that Teresa was, I almost called her Louisa. We might as well put them together. Louisa and Teresa, Louisa, Louise and Teresa, Louisa. Anyway, when Teresa was going around at Jackie's husband's birthday party, she was deliberately going around whispering in people's ears about a rumor that she had no basis to fall back on. She had no picture, she had no text or anything like that. She had nothing. And here is little Miss Goody Two Shoes, Jennifer. Oh, I'm going to call people and find out. I'm going to dig dirt. And while Jackie still forgave her for that, she still turns around and throws things in people's faces. I'm not a fan of Jennifer. I was never a fan of her from the minute that she came on the show. Jennifer only cares about her immediate family and screw everybody else. She is not a good friend. Now, we're all watching the same thing. If somebody turns around and tells me, oh, but I think that she's a really good friend from what I've seen, give me an example. Comment below what examples Jennifer has done to be a good friend to somebody else. And don't count in Teresa because that is an entirely different animal of a friendship. They both do terrible things to other people. And while Teresa can say, oh, well, that's my brother and I could protect him, I didn't see her standing up to her daughter when her daughter was being outright nasty to her own uncle. And I wrote this in my blog. Let me be nasty to one of my family members and see what's going to happen. It doesn't matter how old I am, you should respect your family members regardless. So the drama still goes on. Melissa had her pink party. Jennifer decided not to attend. I just think it's all crazy. Like, what is going on here? Somebody posted on Twitter a couple of days ago. When is it like these shows have become so dark and morbid? And when is it that we're going to see shows where like real friendships and fun is happening? And I have to agree, it really has become a dark place to watch these shows. It's the reason why I couldn't watch Married to Medicine anymore. It almost seems like every show now is like Married to Medicine. There was just shady shit that went on from episode 1 of Married to Medicine, and that was the only one that I watched. It took me to a place of anger. It was just insane. I'm like, you know what? I can't be entertained and be angry like this. It didn't make any sense at all. That's not the reason why I watch television in the first place. Yes, I like the drama, but when it comes to a point where you're sitting there and you're saying, is this what happens when I come into money? Like I'm just going to have like these backstabbing friends who are not going to be real, and I'm just going to invite them over and have parties and there's going to be fights at my parties? Then I might as well not have friends. I might as well be the person with a bunch of animals and live in a big house and be happy for the rest of my life. You see what I'm saying? Towards the end of that episode, and one of the things that I wrote in my notes was Jennifer got upset with Bill because he wasn't defending her. Well, doesn't Bill like carry her away when she gets super drunk? I think I've seen that in a couple of episodes, when she's falling down on the floor and they have to help her up and pick her up. Yeah, I think that Bill does a lot to defend her. So I don't think that he should stand there and have to defend himself for an action that happened eons ago. It happened, end of story. And it should not be brought up time and time again. Can we move on to like new storylines? I don't know. But anyway, that's enough of Real Housewives of New Jersey. I hope that they start getting better in their friendships, because if it keeps going on like this, it just makes you wonder like, why am I watching this show? It might as well be called like Real Housewives of New Jersey Fights or something like that, because it's just constantly going on. And they need to change it up a little bit. Don't bring some people back. That's my take on it. Of course, feel free to leave your comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on Real Housewives of New Jersey. And now we are going to move on to our favorite, Married at First Sight. I have to say that Married at First Sight, this season 14, the Boston couples have been very, very interesting and animated to say the least. Again, right now, I think when I had made my predictions before, I said the only couple that will probably stay together is Steve and Noi, and I'm still on that trend. They had a little ups and downs, but again, when it comes to all relationships, the ups and downs are completely normal. For as long as love is growing and they're moving in the right direction, it's all good. Clearly, that was not the case for Alyssa and Chris, who decided to get a divorce. Let's talk a little bit about Steve and Noy, because one of the things that I wanted to bring up was the scavenger hunt. Noy had a scavenger hunt where she left all of these little notes for Steve to look out and see if he can find her. And it was very cute. They have a very nice, loving, respectful relationship. Granted, it's not perfect. She got upset because she forgot his noodles and it overcooked or what have you. He spoke to her in a certain way that she didn't like. She got up and walked out. She didn't come back to the apartment that all of the couples share in this building. So one of the things that Steve got upset about, and when Noy had walked out, she had posted on social media about this relationship not working out. And I think we all have been at fault in some form or another, that when we get angry about something, we post about it without really thinking about the long-term consequences and how could that affect your relationship. And one of the things that Steve had mentioned to Noy was, if something is going on, come to me and talk to me about it instead of posting something on social media and then giving the impression that things aren't working out. Needless to say, they were able to communicate their thoughts, apologies, whatever. And that's when the scavenger hunt took place. Now, I think what was cute was that Noy was basically, she was trying to gauge where Steve is at in their relationship. Like she would say certain things, and Steve is like a poker face. He will not readily share how it was that he was feeling until I forget where it was that they were, that he had admitted that he loved her. So I thought that was a beautiful moment. Um, I think it's great when somebody tells you that they love you, especially when it's unexpected. It kind of reminded me of the ending of the movie Pretty in Pink when Blaine tells Andy that he loves her. It was like so priceless. I love it when he said, "You told me you couldn't believe in someone who didn't believe in you. I believed in you." And there was like this long pause. And then he's like, "I love you." And it was like the perfect moment, and that's what it reminded me of, and I got a little choked up. I was getting choked up before, but I'm not right now. I just think that it's amazing when you can find that love and be able to explore that and not have to be secretive or hold back and just tell somebody that you love them and that it's okay if you do. And let's just explore these opportunities together. Moving on to Mark and Lindsay. This is another couple that I don't think they're going to make it at all. Mark and Lindsay are a total mess. It's like 1 minute they're fine, and the next minute they're not. They're literally like a scale. It just keeps going up and down, up and down, up and down. Lindsay is the kind of person that it seems, and I can understand when Mark says that you have to walk on eggshells with her. It's just, he doesn't know what's going to trigger her anger, that he feels that he can't share what is going on. And that's not a good thing. That's not good to be in a relationship with somebody and you feel you cannot express yourself because that person is suddenly just going to fly off the handle. That is not good at all, in my own personal opinion. She makes these comments about his behavior. She also makes a comment about how she feels she is absorbing his negativity. Now, I believe that. I don't believe that Lindsay is a negative person per se, but she just seems like the type of person who's always on the defensive. And if you say something to her that's going to upset her, well, then of course she's going to be defensive and she's going to pull back. She's not going to communicate. And this is what has been going on. So when she closes herself up and she's like, "I'm not giving the best part of you," What is Mark going to do? He's going to do the same thing. He's not going to share. He's going to have like that weird look on his face, his eyes. I'm sorry. But then on top of that, that she wants to close herself off. She's also very loving and giving and nurturing. Okay. And I understand that. I think what's happening here is that Lindsay does all of this 100% giving, and then she wants Mark to do the same thing. And like what seemed to have started off in the beginning, where it seemed that way, the day that they went and flew to Puerto Rico and Mark saw a different side of her, he was like, I don't know if I want to be with this woman. I think we need to pull back. I think it's too much. And she feels like she has done her part in participating in the relationship. So they both have their arguments as to why they are who they are and who they are in this relationship. Once again, I believe that the experts have gotten it wrong. And I don't see this relationship lasting if it's going to go at this rate where they are just like constantly bickering, not communicating, and then one day everything is fine, and the rest of the days of the week they're just fighting. That's not a healthy relationship. It's not healthy that 7 days out of the week, one day a week you're getting along, and maybe not for the whole day. So, I don't know what's going to happen with Mark and Lindsay, but I will tell you this. At this rate, I see them getting a divorce. You may see something different. Comment below and let me know. Okay, now here's the big one. Moving on to Elijahwan and Katina. Where do I begin? I knew that Elijahwan was a wild card, but he was wild beyond anything that I could have ever imagined. And he's just taking Katina along for the ride. And it's just really, really messed up. Elijah comes up with this concept, and I'm not sure where he got where he came up with this, but they start talking about what had happened after they had guests over. Because last week, I think it was last week, where they had people come over, like families, because they hadn't seen their families since they got married and all of this stuff, and just kind of catching up, like how's married life, because right now it's been like more than 14 days that everybody's been married, with the exception of Alyssa and Chris, which I guess they're in the process of getting a divorce. More will be revealed. Needless to say, and I want to just read some of my notes here. Elijahwan feels Katina isn't participating in the marriage in the way that he sees in his mind how Katina should be participating in the marriage. And the example was, here they have this party, everybody leaves, and Elijahwan wants to clean up. And I guess Katina wanted to relax. And what did Elijahwan do? And you see like the cameras, because they have cameras all around these apartments. You see him cleaning up and sweeping and all that. And he felt that Katina should have been there participating in the cleanup. It's part of her taking initiative. Like a job, when you're an employee, you know what I mean? That you take initiative of doing things so that you look good for the boss. What show did Elijah get into? Because this is Married at First Sight, not Made for Hire. I'm confused. Hey everyone, just a quick break to talk about Servebox. Servebox is a store I started that includes great products such as CBD and hemp lotions, spa shower gels, just CBD brand products. And for all of the mystical and spiritual products, which includes crystal gems, tarot readings, and much more, connect with servebox.com and try out your new products today. It's all a gift in a box. And then here's the other thing that that I wrote. I can understand what he's saying. Yes, like you want your house to be clean. Nobody wants bugs or wake up in the middle of the night to some unexpected six-leg visitor. I totally get that. But like we all participate however it is that we live. Now, if I get into a relationship with somebody, I am not going to expect for that person to clean up the same time that I do. Um, there are just things that I'm probably going to be more neurotic about than maybe my partner would be. And it's just a matter of balancing the scales so that you understand where everybody's at. And maybe Katina is not the kind of person that she's neurotic that says, I have to sweep, I have to mop, I have to this, whatever. Like you work it out. You don't sit there and say, you're my wife. You're supposed to do this. You're supposed to participate. You're supposed to be effective in this. You're supposed to think about things ahead of time and take the initiative. No, if that is your wife, that's a different kind of partnership. Now, if you wanted a maid and Katina was participating in being his maid, now we're talking about something completely different. What I said was, I can understand what he's saying. Yes, that makes sense. However, in a realistic point of view, does every couple clean together? Maybe not every couple cleans together. And then the other point I made is this a mandatory thing? Imagine having to do every single thing with your partner and never having time for yourself. This was another thing that came into mind. Like, does your partner have to be like right there at your hip, monitoring their every move to make sure that they got every little crumb from the floor? And what happens if they don't? Now, here is the thing that even bothers me the most. Katina is a very beautiful girl. My own personal opinion. I think that she's gorgeous. And while people can turn around and say, oh, well, she's a gorgeous girl, she can get any man that she wants, it doesn't mean that the man that she's going to get is going to be good to her or faithful or what have you. And while she shares openly with Elijahwan about being in a relationship where she was verbally abused and felt like she couldn't cry or express herself because he had things to say about that. And Elijahwan is like, no, I don't like that my wife was treated like this, that she couldn't express herself or that she never cried. But then here we are, Elijahwan, when she asked him if he was falling in love, he said she has the potential, but he's not there. Other thing that he said was love isn't on the table right now. And he can't even say that until the connection grows. So, what do we mean by that, Elijahwan? Until the connection grows, until Katina participates in cleaning with you, until she gets dinner right, that she knows how to cut a shrimp in half. Like, what's going on here? This is the part that's very, very disturbing. What's even more disturbing is how these experts come up with pairing people because they look right on paper. Remember what we said about paper? Because they just sound they match on paper. It's just freaking paper. It's like answering a bunch of questions on eHarmony. Who's to say that anybody's telling the truth? How could we say they're experts? They couldn't catch in what was it, season 12 in Atlanta. They didn't catch Chris. Oh, he was great on paper. He said everything that we wanted him to say, and that's why we paired him up with Paige. People will say whatever it is that they need to say to put themselves in a position that they are seeking to be on, whether it's on television, whether it's in somebody's life. Some people can be super strategic, which is something like what happened with me. Somebody tried to put themselves or place themselves in my life so that they can live well off without the hard work. And that's not what a relationship is. A relationship isn't uh, something where somebody thinks they're going to have the upper hand with somebody else. There was an article that I have to finish reading, and I'm going to blog about it, where Dr. Viviana claims that Alyssa was disrespecting the process of this whole thing, how they have to stay together and live in this apartment and try and make a relationship work. Why? Was it because a piece of paper told them that they matched? Was it because of that? Was it because of a piece of paper, Dr. Viviana? Sometimes this show and the things that come out of their mouth, with the exception of Pastor Cal, because Pastor Cal I can get with. He seems to be the type of person, look at his reactions when he was asking Lindsay about Mark. Did she hear anything that he said? And what was her response? I don't hear anything. Everything sounds like a run on sentence. Then why are you married? I don't think that people understand the sanctity of marriage and how sacred that is. And it doesn't matter like who, woman, woman, man, 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 woman, whatever the situation is. It is something that two people do when they are in love and they want to make a life together. Of course, in this show, it's unconventional because they don't know each other. They're basically getting married to a stranger. And that's a really hard thing. Can you imagine being single and then the next day you're getting married to like somebody and now you're incorporating them into your life? You're not making decisions for yourself anymore. How many times has Katina said that when she does shopping, she does it for herself? She's not used to buying things for somebody else. This is something that she has to learn. And apparently, Elijahwan thinks that this is something that she should know naturally. And that is not the case. And for somebody not to know that they're used to living a certain way, and you want to sit there and chastise and talk about, well, love isn't on the table right now because you're just not at the level that I expect you to be. That is emotional and verbal abuse. There's no other way to put it. So I'm sorry, experts, you got it wrong yet again. And I think this is the reason why I watch this show, just to call out the inconsistencies that is of thinking that you can pair two people together. The fact of the matter is that this relationship is not right. And Katina needs to stop thinking in her head or her mindset that Elijahwan is a specific person that she has conjured up in her mind. He's not lying about who he is. And Elijahwan showed his ass from day one. Look at when he had lunch with Katina's friends. And he was just going to bat with that guy. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. No, you don't, Elijahwan. You only see what you want to see. And we all see it. And now Katina needs to see it and get out of the relationship ASAP. And that's that. That's it for Married at First Sight. Again, always leave your comments below. What couple do you think will make it after the 8 weeks? I say Steve and Noy will be the only couples. I don't know at this point, with Michael having a breakthrough, maybe Michael and Jasmina will make it and want to stay married and work things out. But remember, after the 8 weeks on decision day, anything can happen. And none of these couples probably will not stay married, but time will tell. So, with all that being said, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification. This is Marabelle Blue signing off. And always remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.